So we're here with Hendrick. Hendrick, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
So we've done a couple of bits with you in the past, and I know we had a competition lined up with robots where you're a personal trainer, right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, due to lockdown, we had to cancel it, but we're looking forward to picking it up in the future. But Hendrick is a powerlifter, 2 times British powerlifting champion, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you're part of the Great Britain team. We were chatting the other day, and you're part of the Great Britain team at the minute, right?
Yeah.
That's quality. And something I didn't know about you, that you were a running back, played American football for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's quality. I love that. So can you just tell us a bit about yourself and just a bit about your background?
Apart from that, so outside of the sport things, I'm also a father as well, father and husband, got 2 boys. PT, been in the industry for about 11 years. And pretty much I'm just someone who's just very honest and truthful. I've lived my life with loads of failures, and I've been able to come over them and just be very honest and just say, hey, you know, this is what life is. Life is about making mistakes, and I was preaching in my social media as well.
Yeah, awesome. So I know you're very passionate about like physical training and sort of staying in peak shape. And obviously, like you said there, you're a dad to 2 boys. I've got one little girl, and it's hectic. And when anyone asks us like, when are you having another kid, I'm like, oof. I'm struggling with one at the minute, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes in the future. I'm interested, like, if you do get downtime amongst everything that you do, because you're obviously clearly like very busy. Like, how do you spend your downtime?
Most of my downtime is done doing 2 things, or even a combination of both of them. So it's reading, and at the same time, I would listen to, like, it's crazy, like I wouldn't call it classical music, but Hans Zimmerman or Hans.
Yeah, Hans Zimmerman.
Yeah. So listen to a bit of his music, and it's weird because people just say, "Whoa, you know, you listen to that music." I'm like, yeah, I need that to kind of chill and relax because everything's very hectic. So you got one. So imagine 2 kids saying, "Daddy, daddy, 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 look at me, daddy, look at me, daddy, look at me, daddy, look at me," and then you need his head, and you're doing the work, and you've got to go in this round circle. Eventually, one aspect will chill down, which is like kids to go to bed. Work starts to chill down. That's when you need your own time. You need something which is just calming. And for me, it's just reading. So I'll take myself into a different world and just chill.
Yeah, yeah. So like, obviously, it's hard to have that. Like, one thing with rugby, I found with rugby, like, I've retired now, but now going into business, I find like the time, like, it's very important to like have time for yourself.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that I probably struggle to do, and I think I need to do more of. I'm finding, like, just listening to people like yourself and other people we've spoken to, just hearing like how they do it is like so interesting to me. So your professional life, and this is another thing that I think professional athletes definitely find difficult, but you're a professional athlete, a PT, like, how do you switch between your personal life and your professional life when that's clearly so busy? Like, you're training to be, when you're training, you are a powerlifter, like top of the game, top of the industry, and that, plus a top PT.
Yeah.
Like, how do you switch between doing that and then switching off and being able to go fully into like your family?
So the mistake I used to make before was allowing myself to be of easy access because I have my phone. So because I got social media, it makes it appear like I'm accessible 24 hours. And I had to tell myself, and I even put this up on my social media sometimes as well, to the stage that my clients and people just got the hang of it, and they know that these are my hours that you can reach me. And if you do reach me outside them hours, I'm not contacting you. It's like an offer. And you know, sometimes I'll get people message me at 11 p.m. and I feel that it's within my right to message them back as soon as possible. And then I just got to that stage where I had to practice, and I just practice. Eventually, it will come in full swing. So so for example, on a Saturday, I'll do 3 classes, I'll finish by 11 a.m. and that's it. That means that I do not reply back to any emails, business related, until Monday in the morning when I wake up. So anything regarding burpees, squats, nutrition, I don't want to hear nothing about it. You're going to get no response. And that in that way, it just allows me to go to flip the switch and say father mode, mind mode, work mode, husband mode, and that's it. You just flip the switch. But it's just knowing that because you got your phone there, do not think that you are entitled to message people back as possible. You're just gonna know these are your hours for you, these are hours for this, these are hours for that, and practice that.
Yeah. So you actively have to work on it, I guess. Like I'm so guilty of that. Within 4five in the business, like I message people at all times of day, late at night, and then as soon as I've done it, I'm like, oh, I feel so bad because people have to have their own lives as well, and I guess we have to realize it's not all about us, as much as we want it to be. And then, like, to be at the peak physical condition, sleep's obviously massively important. Like, how is your sleep routine?
So what I would do is, so as soon as I come back from work, downtime, if it's not reading and you know, listening to some form of calming music, I'll just put on some TV and just relax. And that would just help wind me down. By 10:30, I would say I'm getting myself into bed. I've started to practice taking CBD, and the reason why, because I don't really get that much hours sleep. The most I'll get is 6 hours. So when I take CBD oil, literally when I wake up the next morning, it felt like I've slept longer. I felt like, oh my God, I'm late. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually early, 15 minutes early before my alarm. And I use that 15 minutes within goodwill. But I'll say CBD oil, and at the same time, just being able to just wind it down. So keeping myself away from my phone and just bring everything all in, getting ready to just get into bed.
Yeah, they do say like it's the first thing I noticed when I started taking CBD was like just the deeper sleeps.
Yeah,
just feeling more like rested the next day. So I think it's like when we get feedback, it's definitely one of the first things that people say is like, they have such a deep sleep, which is brilliant. Massively important, obviously, for anyone. So obviously we're in the midst of another lockdown, and like you're in kind of one of those key industries that is affected massively. Like how are you coping with that? Like how are you sort of strategizing to sort of, first of all, not just keep yourself fit, but help other people stay fit as well?
So I've been doing 2 things. First thing I've been doing is Instagram classes. And I managed to do that during the first lockdown and the second lockdown as well. And doing not just that, but clients outside in the park, because we are allowed to train clients in the park. And with myself, I'll be doing what I can with 20 kilos. So all I've got is 20 kilos, a weighted vest. I'm not going to make the same mistake I made in lockdown 1, which is just go for runs and run. Made no sense. So with the 20 kilos and a couple bands and a weighted vest, I'm doing what I can, from curls, shoulder presses, dumbbell rows, the whole of it.
Yeah, it's funny, like we're in the second lockdown now, and everyone's kind of learned from the first one, and I made amends and like just pushing on. Did you do anything else during lockdown to sort of stay entertained? Obviously, spend a lot of time at home at the minute.
So what, training wise, or just in terms?
Just outside of training.
So outside of training, with lockdown, it's just made me be a better father, a better husband, in terms of, you know, just saying, wow, you know, with this time, this is what I've been missing out. This is what I've been needing to do, because before all of this lockdown, we've just been work. We've been workaholics without actually realizing that we have been. So for myself and a few others, it's just kind of made me prioritize time and spend it more where it's needed, and then having, being more, I can say, strict with yourself in terms of just saying, right, this is it. That's the time I'm gonna give for work, and that's the time I'm gonna give for myself. That's the time for family.
Mm. Well, I'm amazed at how you fit all these things in. Like definitely during lockdown for me, it's like spending more quality time with the family has been awesome. Like those moments that you don't realize you're missing out on, I guess. Like
Exactly.
you get to be there and grow those bonds, I guess. So recovery, it was something that I was never very good at as a rugby player. But I'm interested to hear like what your go-tos are for recovery.
So, okay, this is interesting. I can give you two aspects. I can give you before I learned my lesson and after I learned my lesson.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hear both.
Right. So before I learned my lesson, recovery, injury, I never believed in it. I'll just train. If I get injured, I'll still train, but at a lighter weight. Injuries got worse, sciatica issue. What else have I had? Literally back pain that I couldn't even put on my socks or even touch my shins. From that day, I've then learned, right, I need, you're going to see yourself as a car. You're going to have high, you're going to be able to train hard and then at the same time recover by having regular treatment. So it could be massages, just could be 2 or 3 days off. Well, 2 or 3 days off seems like a long time, but at the rate that we're training at, where you're doing too much high intensity, you're just breaking down the body, and the body needs time to recover. And the recovery is as important as the training session itself. The recovery, that's when you are getting stronger. That's when the muscles start to fuel up and so forth. And I did know this, but too much of the ego and trying to catch up and trying to take big steps. Whereas now, all I do is take small steps, and it's in the less injury rate, and I get to my goal.
Yeah. It's definitely it's an old school way of looking at it now, isn't it? Like the whole like you got to smash it every single day as much as possible. I mean, I never really smashed it every single day anyway, but still my recovery was not where it probably needed to be. And then you kind of touched on it there, but like nutrition is obviously massively important. And when we last met, I was chatting to you about like having to make your weight to compete, and like I was so interested in that, and kind of what you have to put your body through just to kind of drop weight to be able to compete. So can you talk us through that a little bit?
So I'll compete in the 93 kilo category, and my coach normally wants me to be 97, 98, and I will keep that weight to the last, I'll try and work out, Monday. So the competition will be on a Saturday, and I will be 97, 98 max on Monday. Now I'm going to be below 93 kilo by Saturday. I'm still high in terms of my weight. And it sounds crazy. People are like, wow, but I'll explain it all. So my eating still stays the same. So I'm roughly eating about 3.5 calories till about Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, I start dropping the carbs down slowly. But my water intake increases. So by Thursday, I'm probably drinking 6 to 8 liters of water. So what I'm doing, I'm just loading up the system with water, loading up the body with water. So therefore, the body says we've got too much water, and it just keep flushing it out, By Friday midday, I will cut the water, but the body is still flushing out the water. My carbs is cut out. I'll have something light, whether it's like fish, just to put something in nutrients into the body. And now the food and water is cut. I keep peeing and I know whatever, like every 6 minutes. I remember this is on that Friday, I would have drank 8 to 10 liters of water. The water stops by 2 p.m. and I'm about 97, 98, even 99 at this time. But I've cut the carbs out, cut all food. But my water weight will drop by 6 to 7 kilos the next day. And I will come into a competition at 91 kilo after being 97, 98 the day before. And it's crazy. I remember I was in Canada for an international competition. First time doing it this way, because when I competed the first time with him, I was already low. I was 93, 94 kilos, so dropping the weight wasn't a problem. But when he gave me this new method, I was worrying that, I was in the bath, Epsom salt. I was in the bath for about 45 minutes and I was panicking. I said, I'm not going to make weight. And if you don't make weight, you can't compete. So it's not like you don't make weight, right? You got to do the next weight category. This is your weight class and that's it. So I was stressing, woke up early that day and I was 94.5. And I was like, hold on a minute. I was 98. Now I'm 94.5. He said, yeah, no worries. Have another Epsom salt bath, just a quick one. Did that, got to the venue and I was 91.8 in a matter of hours. And it's just crazy, just playing around with water, how you could just drop weight. It's not the nutritional side of things when it comes to powerlifting is not as it's not that bad. It's just the water weight you have to play with.
Yeah.
So as soon as all of that is done, as soon as you weigh in, is eating the right food in order for you just to get your strength back quick.
It's intense. That is intense. You kind of touched on the mistakes you made, like coming back from injuries and stuff. But what is your one golden piece of advice? I'm sure you might find it hard to narrow it down to one. So if there's a couple, that's fine. But for someone that's recovering from an injury, like what is your key piece of advice?
My key thing, if you come from injury, is just know that as long as the injury is getting better, you're getting stronger. So people look at injuries and see themselves as I'm losing something, but no one actually look at it and say I'm actually gaining. So in the downtime, so now being injured, you're in a downtime, and in that downtime you can actually use that as, well, I'm actually learning from this. I'm actually gaining something from this. Well, I've learned that if I do X and Y in this certain way, then therefore I'll be able to improve this to avoid getting this injury. So it's almost like taking yourself back into the drawing board in order for you to make this thing work. So just look at it as the going back to the drawing board. Yeah,
definitely. That's definitely good advice. Rather than keep pushing yourself, like we mentioned. So just go into your morning routine. And the reason I'm interested in this is because, again, you've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
The morning's obviously going to be hectic. Like my alarm clock in the morning, I don't even set an alarm. Like my kid screaming is the alarm clock, and then I get up, I feed her, or my wife feeds her, and then a very secondary thought is getting breakfast myself.
Yeah.
Which 100% isn't the way to do it, right? 100% isn't the way to do it. But what is your morning routine typically, and how important is it to you?
So my normal, there's 2, because there's days where I don't drop off the kids and there's days where I do. So on the days that I do, I try and take advantage as much as possible in terms of staying in bed. That always fails because, similar to yourself, you get, there's noise, and the noise could be them arguing about what they're watching. So no, we're watching Peppa Pig. No, we're watching Ninja Lego. We're watching this one first. And I hope that they'll come to agreement what to watch first. But sometimes it doesn't work. So that's me woken up, and it's always around the same time, just before 7 o'clock. Then it's a case of making them breakfast first, and then urging them to hurry up and eat their breakfast, because they're always taking the time, especially when they're just occupied watching whatever's on the TV. They're not going to be strict, Dad, because now they haven't finished their breakfast. We're going to leave in 20 minutes. I've got to get them showered, brush their teeth, get their hair done, get them clothes, and rush out of their house. Once I've dropped them off, I then have to come back, get myself ready to then get into work. That is, I look forward to staying in bed, but it never happens, and it's always a rush. On a Monday, it's smooth because it's just myself that I need to deal with. As soon as I wake up, I give myself 5 to 10 minutes just to plan, visualize how my day is going to go. It still continues as soon as I jump into the shower. And I like jumping in the shower and still thinking, because sound of water, it's just smooth, and there's just something so calming about it. I don't like to start the morning so hectic. The mistakes I used to make before was I used to plan everything so by the minute. So if it takes me half an hour to get ready, I would wake up half an hour before. So if I need to leave in half an hour, I'll wake up half an hour before. Whereas now, I'll set it as 45 minutes, because you just never know what will happen in that 15-minute window. And I say this in my class when I teach classes: early's on time. So wake up early, you're on time. Get there early, you're on time.
Yeah, definitely. It's good advice. I'll take that advice myself. So you've spoken previously about your personal life, and you struggled with gambling addiction at one point. Is that something that you can tell us about?
Yeah, sure. When I was gambling, it happened for about 10 years. So now I'm about 8 years free. So
Awesome.
Yeah, a long time.
And what was kind of instrumental? Like, did you hit a point where you were like, I need to sort this, and like, what was instrumental in kind of sort of making you look and sort it out and address it?
So the thing with the gambling, it was weird. So it wasn't just a case of where most people, when they gamble on one thing and that was it. For me, it was something so petty, so small. I was gambling on video games. So me and my friend, here's £10. I play in football, and it went to 10, 20, 250 quid for a game. Crazy. From there, my friend introduced me to go into the bookies, and we started doing roulette, and it was the other card game, blackjack. And it was just back and forth on these machines where the amount of money we were losing, or I was losing, anywhere between 2 to 6K, and I'll probably get back 10K. And then it's always a dog chasing his tail, and it's going around for a while, long time. And I remember this particular moment, I said to myself, right, so I must have won, I'm not afraid to say how much I won. So I won 9,000. I said, right, I'm going to win another 9,000, and then that's it, I'll call it quits. But it backfired. So it went up, and then it backfired, and I lost literally everything. From that moment, the journey home, I remember taking the black cab home, and I just had this deep thought. I said, right, something needs to change, because now I'm starting to realize I actually have a gambling addiction. Whereas before I was in so much denial, and that was slowing down the process. So I think that actually taking that step and being confident to say, you know what, you have a gambling addiction, it became the process. It then started the progress of, or the process of, stripping it apart and just deleting it. It took back and forth battles, because I would not gamble for about a week. I would go back into the bookies. I would then not gamble for about 2 weeks, and I'll go back into the bookies. And then this time I just said to myself, I hate starting back at zero. So I hate saying, right, I've done a week, 7 days, and then now 0. Can I do 2 weeks and then make it 15 days, 16 days, 17? And I remember saying, whoa, I've done a month. Can I do 3 months? I've done 3 months, I've done 6. And I said, right, I've done 6 months. I have to do a year. And once I've done a year of not gambling, at that moment, I said to myself, I think I've done it. I think I've actually quit gambling. And then it came 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And at that stage, I said, oh, this is actually done. So I can't wait for it to be 10 years.
So, and that's awesome, mate. Like, such a inspiring story. And that process is something that you put in place yourself. Yeah, I mean, because that's like, to be able to do that yourself.
Yeah.
and stick to it, and not like not be someone, because I would imagine a lot of people have to reach out for help, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that you've done it on your own without reaching out for help is like amazing.
See, I remember when so at the same time, I wasn't even telling friends, so no one knew. And previous relationships, I remember one ex I was with, she said, you know, you got to speak to someone about this. And she arranged for me to speak to someone. And at this time, I was still in denial. I was like, I haven't got a gambling problem, so I don't need to speak to anyone. And I still need to speak to anyone about it. And I think during this time when I said, so relating back to injuries, having that gambling addiction was almost like being injured, but for a long time. And it allows you to go back to the drawing boards every now and then. So I went back to the drawing board and I said to myself, I think you need to be true to your words. If you say to yourself, you're going to be there at 5, for example, be there at 5. You're going to be there at 10, be at 10. You're going to give someone X amount, give them X amount. And then I just started to practice being true to what you say you're going to do. And that moment, I then started to say, you know, trust yourself. You know, start believing in yourself. And that's why I'm not really too afraid to speak out about certain things.
Mate, that's awesome. Congratulations. Did you say 10 years?
So it's been 8 years now, 8 years free.
8 years.
It's been happening for 10 years.
Yeah, brilliant. So within weightlifting and your sport, have you ever experienced racism?
Not at all. It's a very big community. Everyone supports everyone. I mean, even in my weight class in the national competitions, it's crazy. Backstage, even though people are against each other, everyone's very supportive. Whether you're black, white, Asian, doesn't matter what you are. People are very supportive of what you do because everyone respects everyone's hard work. We all fight the same battles in terms of training. We all know how hard it is. So within weightlifting, I definitely haven't experienced that.
So I love that, like how individual sports, because they can be quite lonely at times. Like obviously I've played rugby, so always had people around me all the time, but I'd imagine that being able to bounce off people and get that support from like your own peers is like quite a special thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, so we're towards wrapping up, but one question that we're at to finish on, like what inspires you?
It's weird because normally people will say, oh, you know, my mom and dad, or they'll say a role model. I think for me, what inspires me is having the willpower to try it and fail. So failure for me inspires me. It gives me two things. It gives me it gives me a plan B to try again. And it just reminds me that we are capable of doing so much more. So just failing just allows me it just inspires me to just be better. I can't explain, or I can't even count the amount of times, for example, I failed a 300-kilo deadlift. I even give you a story. So in the nationals, the last nationals, I got bronze in that one. I got bronze in a deadlift with a 332 kilo deadlift. Prior to that, and training a week before, I failed that same weight. And I had no reason to get it this time. Nothing in my training has changed. But having the confidence to approach it was different. The reason why, because the first time when I failed, I got off the floor. And I said to myself, I could get off the floor as one step. Now, the second step is what you're going to do now is finish off that lift. So I approach it as if I've done this 100 times. I've got the video and the picture somewhere as well. There's this picture of me staring at the bar like it's dinner time. Like I'm about to finish everything. Got to the bar, and even though there was noise, everything just cleared around me, and it just lifted off the floor. And it came right up, and I was like, oh my God, I've actually did it. Put it down, and I turned to my coach, because my coach was even worried himself, because this was asking for a 7.5 kilo deadlift within the space of 2 months, which is a big lift. Now I turned to my coach, and I almost, I went like this, and when I was about to give him the middle finger on both to be like, I've done it, and I went like that instead. I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, and yeah, it's cool. So it's just people shouldn't be afraid to fail, and failing, you be the more failing you do, the more closer you get into where you want to be. That's how I say.
Yeah, very inspirational. Mate, I said that was my last question, but I've actually got one more question. So like deadlift is great, squat's great, but what do you bench?
175.
Just a solid 75 kilograms more than myself.
I'm trying to get 180, but it will get there. I reckon it'll get there.
Yeah. When's the next competition?
So we don't know yet because of this whole thing going on.
Yeah.
I've got my eyes on the prize because no one's won the weight category 3 times, and if I do this, it will just open up so much doors. The competition is a lot more higher this time around, a lot more higher. So all the lifts I'm doing now, I need to add at least 10 kilo more to each one in order for me to secure number 1 again.
Mate, that's awesome, and best of luck. Make history, eh?
Thank you.
Mate, thanks for coming on. Thanks for chatting to us. Like, really appreciate it. Like, for me, you're very inspirational. Just the work ethic, and first of all, how ripped you are. That's very inspirational to me.
Thank you.
Cheers, Hendrick. Thanks, mate.